OSU Agriculture recently held the first ever Range and Livestock Field Day, where producers got an up-close look at research aimed at controlling woody plants, among many other things. SUNUP's Curtis Hare takes us there.
So today we have a field day, and we're just sharing a lot of the different research projects we have going on here around Stillwater. You know, what we're covering today is mostly about managing rangelands and livestock. Folks from all over the state that made it out to see what we're working on.
This field day is a new one for Oklahoma State University. The goal here is to show how different rangeland management strategies can impact the land. While this field day is new, OSU Extension rangeland specialist Laura Goodman and her team have spent years conducting this research.
And then right up here you'll see our... So we added goats to some of our burn pastures back in 2020, and the idea was that we were going to try to help with some of our woody plant control for some of our resprouting species. So we have done really well with our prescribed burning on controlling species that don't resprout, like eastern red cedar, but we had other species that we were concerned about that, you know, grow back pretty easily after fire, and so we added goats to those cattle pastures. And we didn't change our stocking rates on our cattle or anything, we just added the goats in addition.
You see, these practices here are a larger research endeavor that Dr. Goodman and her team are working on. It's called the Prairie Project. For the past several years, researchers from OSU, Texas A&M, and the University of Nebraska are collaborating to study a two-pronged approach of patch burning and grazing goats to control woody plant encroachment in the southern Great Plains.
This fact sheet.
Yeah, so we have three pastures where we're burning. We do patch burning, so we burn portions of the pasture, and that focuses grazing as those animals are attracted to those burns. And so we have three that have just cattle, and then we're comparing it to the pastures where we have cattle and goats, also on patch burning. On the woody control side, we're getting good results with the goats, and actually the cattle do a really good job too when we have them on a pasture where we have burning. Our cattle and our goats are both eating a lot of sericea. We're actually getting pretty decent control with just using that and no herbicide. With some of these other plants, we're seeing that we can keep them much shorter, and so the woody plants aren't competing as much with our grasses.
You know, whether it's eastern red cedar or smaller plants like Sericea lespedeza, these small woody plants are overtaking grasslands, which has numerous negative impacts. But these types of management strategies, well, there's a lot of good that can come from them.
We look at the plants and the animals, but we have entomologists that have looked at this, and so they've seen that we end up with lower hornfly numbers on animals that are on a patch burning system. We also end up with lower tick loads because the animals are grazing in an area that's had a burn, and so the vegetation is short, and the ticks, that's not a preferred habitat for ticks because there's not enough tall grass.
While fire is always a topic of interest at events like this, Dr. Goodman says showing the impacts goats have on the land stirred up a lot of interest.
So as it resprouts, the goats eat everything as they resprout, so it keeps it short.
Folks are also just wondering about the management for the goats. What type of fencing? What are we doing for predators? And so we have guard dogs that we have out with our goats while they're grazing.
For more information about this event or woody plant control methods, just visit sunup.okstate.edu. From Payne County, I'm Curtis Hare.